boys? Oh boy, there we go. Oh boy, we're back with what's happening with this intro right now. I don't know, but I'm glad to be here with you guys. I'm going to make sure this computer is muted because I've forgotten to do that several times so far on these streams. So welcome to episode 11 of the video helpline. So the way this works is we're going to get into your questions. It can be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily even be video if that's not what you're into. Let me know if you can hear me okay, and we will get this party started. There's already several people in chat, including the one and only Mr. Camera Junkie, Wildcamp Media, Parker Jennings, T&M Studios, Cleverson Reuther, Hurricane X, Sunday Donut Film, Coalition Gaming, and others. So welcome, everybody. And I noticed a question involving, am I peeking right now? It looks a little red when it comes to levels there. Notice a question right off the bat from Wildcamp Media talking about the new Canon dual fisheye lens that was recently announced. I was actually just kind of reading about that. We'll switch over to that right here. And it's pretty interesting. Not really something I'm interested in, but I mean, pretty nifty. So you've got two lenses, and they can be controlled with one knob. And using, this is by the way the R5 it's displayed with, and Canon has a video on it you can check out, but essentially they can stitch together the two lenses and you get kind of a 360 8K situation. So yeah, virtual reality, things like that, kind of interesting. So there you go, that's kind of the deal with that. My thoughts on it, it's definitely cool, definitely kind of out of left field. But yeah, there you go. If you got $2,000 burning a hole in your pocket, you've got an R5. That's a lens you can check out. So let's see here. I'm going to scroll down. Let me remove that comment. Move this window a little bit. How's that? I'm going to scroll down here and start fresh at the bottom. That way I can try to stay on top of the questions this week. I'm almost peaking, Trevor says. Okay, good to know. Any ideas? Here we go. We're going to start right here. Boom. Stefan, any ideas how to create Zoom's camera movement in a one-man live streaming setup? So you can do that with software. Something like OBS can do that. I think Stream Deck, which is what I'm using, can do that. I better not mess with anything. Might get in trouble. But there's ways you can animate that and create moves and things like that, scaling animations. If you have a Sony camera, you can actually get a remote similar to this one that'll work, and you can programming it into use clear image zoom. Then you could zoom in and out. So just do a YouTube search. There's a bunch of tutorials on all of that stuff. Good question. What else do we got? Rabbit Tribble, good to see you, man. MacBook Pro or RTX 3080 laptop with Ryzen 7 for video editing. I'm not the person to ask, but I would highly suggest you head over to Max Yuriev or Max Tech, MAX Tech. And they've got a lot of videos on computers, editing performance, all of that. I'm an Apple guy, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. William, have you shot an XT4 in HLG? If so, how do you like it? I'm not a big HLG fan. I'm more of a log fan, so shooting with, in that case, F-Log from Fuji. For various reasons. The number one being dynamic range and just the most flexibility. So I always recommend people film with log, but I know there's a huge crowd of people that like HLG. HLG is really not designed for any kind of post-processing, so just something to keep in mind. It's more of a broadcast standard. MTLFX. When you're recording, are you recording from your computer or straight to your camera? Straight to camera. So that's kind of that. I actually do dual system sound and everything, so it's all recorded to get the most information as possible. Usually when you're recording on a computer, you're going to be compressing that, which is not necessarily good. Tech Ober is rough this year. This is Baron. What's going on, Baron? Good to see you, man. Incoming M1X MacBook Pro, likely A7 4GH6 coming soon. Might want to switch from my 3 GH5s to a couple of A7 4s if things turn out like I expect. Yeah, man, I think that I'm thinking right now that A7 IV is going to be a beast, and I think it's going to sell like hotcakes Cannot wait for that camera. And it should, I love the A7S, right? So I have one actually right here with the lens that we'll be talking about next week. So I'll cover up the logo there, but really stoked for this lens. Going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be next Tuesday for those keeping track with the old schedule. But I think the A7 IV is going to address the stuff I don't like about the A7S, which the main one is going to be resolution. I love to punch in digitally in my videos a lot, so I get kind of two camera angles, if you will, or fake angles, and I really can't do that with the A7S. It just doesn't have enough resolution. So really stoked. And for stills, it would be nice to have a little more resolution. So I think that's a smart move, Baron. What do we got here? JD3. Do you have any suggestions for matte boxes that allow the use of circular filters? Small rigs, newer mini matte box doesn't allow 82 millimeters by Tiffin or larger outer element. Good question. So you could get a standard matte box and, use a clamp. So there's two ways to mount, or three, I guess, ways to mount a matte box. One is to use rods, right, where you have a dual rods matte box and you slide it on your rods and you're good to go. The other one, and the one I'm more partial to, is clamping. So you can get these rings for most matte boxes where it goes around the outside of your lens, and there's a little knob and you actually clamp it down onto the lens. That keeps the front element open for filters. Another thing you could do is just get an eyebrow flag and skip the matte box altogether. Dinkum Systems, let's look it up real quick, makes a great one, and it gives you, most of what a lot of us are looking for with a matte box. So how do they spell that? Dinkum Systems. Different keyboard, feels weird. Let's go to images. Here we go. This guy right here. This thing. Let's just go to it on Amazon here. $40, boom, you're done. Just add this. It's got a cold shoe and a flexible arm. Here's a good picture. I've used those a ton back when I, did corporate video and was out filming handheld, because you could just throw it on, angle it wherever you needed it to, and then, get rid of it, chuck it in your bag instead of a whole matte box and the whole thing that goes along with that. But that's what I would recommend. So good question. Next up, Fabian, your new LUTs for the A7S III and FX3 are very good. Thanks a lot. Would you suggest filming an XAVC SI 4K and not, why do you suggest filming an SI 4K versus non-SI or just standard S? Is it just to save It's just to save space without having the most image quality. Yeah, so what I would recommend you do is do a side-by-side test with those two settings. So set the camera up on a tripod, film yourself and some different colors in the background and things like that. Do it with both those settings, and you should notice that the S has some issues going on. Excuse me. The one I notice a lot is when there's different color temperature. So if you've got a lamp and a window, there's some funky stuff going on there. So the SI mode gives you more data, a higher data rate, which is just better all around. So I found that to be just a great, that's all I film with, unless I need to use a slower card or film at higher frame rates and I can't use the cards that I have or something like that. So that's kind of my deal. Thank you so much for the kind words about the LUTs. And for those who don't have an A7S III, hopefully the A7 IV, or whatever they call it, will have the same 10-bit. I think it will. I think it'd be ridiculous if it didn't. Then those LUTs should still work. And I'm also going to be releasing LUTs for what I call Gen 1 Sony cameras, or Gen 1 color. So the 8-bit kind of stuff we've seen, the A7 III, A64, A6600, all that kind of stuff. So working on that, and that should be fun. Max is the best. Yes, he is. Okay, so T&M Studios, I want to replicate the Super 35 field of view. Should I go for an APS-C or full frame? If you want a Super 35 look, the best right now is kind of Sony cameras, because they actually shoot at S35 or Super 35. Yeah, so definitely not full frame, and that'll be great. You can save some money on your camera, on your lenses, yada yada. Dr. Kareem says he shoots HLG 3 on the A7S III Very perfect colors. Can't get the same colors out of S-Log3. Is it okay to proceed with it? What's your thoughts? I used to be like, no, you can't shoot HLG. It's wrong. Use log. But hey, at the end of the day, whatever works and you like and makes your workflow easier, do it. I'm not here to tell you what to do or what not to do. In general, though, I recommend log and I recommend using LUTs because it's really hard. I agree with you. It's really difficult to create, especially S-Log3 by hand. Especially, oh, you're using A7S3. Got it. Yeah, so I actually released LUTs for that recently, so you can check them out. They're $10 at academy.dslrvideoshooter.com. Yeah, a lot of people saying Max is awesome, and he is. He's a wonderful person. Max Yuriev. All right, we got Kalon. Hi, Caleb. Trying to speed up my video recording and editing workflow. Currently using 3 mirrorless cameras and a Zoom Sync video audio. Loading into a computer takes a lot of time. Ideas? Well, I don't know if I can speed up the import process because that is what it is. You could try. I would definitely check card readers. Like if you're using an older Mac or computer, often those card readers are pretty rough. So getting like a USB-C, something fast with a good, high data rate. What's the word I'm looking for? The bus speed is really good. That's going to help a lot. Maybe you don't need 3 cameras. I feel like often those of us who use multicams over time, you kind of don't really cut to one angle much. Something like that could really save time and cut down on file sizes. What else we got? Please do a detailed video on the BGH1. Maybe. It doesn't look that, groundbreaking compared to the GH5, but a lot of people have asked me about it. Is it worth it to buy DaVinci Resolve? Depends on how you're going to use it. You can generate and export LUTs with it. So if you're really into creating your own LUTs, that's a good way to go. What else does it do? I think the noise reduction, the advanced crazy noise reduction, which is wickedly powerful, you only get with the Pro. So check the features list. Otherwise, if you're happy and you haven't noticed it, hey, why not rock the free version? Justin, for freelance run and gun shooting, would you rather use a Canon R5 with a Ninja 5 and EF variable diopter, or would you rather a C70? What about corporate videos? If it's me, Justin, I'm C70 all the way. I think that's a phenomenal little camera. Biggish camera? It's kind of in between, I guess. So that's my take. But if I was shooting stills as well, and I was only going to buy one camera, that's where the R5 comes in. But I would want something super rock solid. I'm not messing around with overheating, none of that stuff. I dealt with all of that back in the DSLR days when I started this channel, and I'm super over it. So C70 for me. Good morning to you, Avinash. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with pronouncing names. Have you tried the R5 in crop mode to bypass overheating? Speaking of, I've heard the down samples for 5.1 and 4K solves overheating issues. I have, oops, that put up the wrong one. There we go. I have not tried the R5. I know since launch, they've done a ton of work, or there's been a bunch of firmware updates, and it has improved. So take that with a grain of salt. So I haven't tried it, but I know I have friends who do have the R5, and that's what they're rocking is the kind of the 4K modes, not full 8K. Paul says, love the chat overlays. Are you using H2R graphics? My client wants Facebook Live chat to appear during a stream. I am using Ecamm Live, which this is going to go into infinity mode, but this is what it looks like. Wow, I just realized there's a ton of stuff on my desktop. Analyzing for important information that people can't see. Oh, it's just so messy. I've done, let's see, how can I show this without going into the infinite messiness? Give me 1 second, because it's really cool the way this chat thing works, and I'm a huge fan of it. How can I do that? Let's try this. No. Here, let's do this. Let's bring this over here. Sorry, guys. This will be worth it, I promise, for those who do live streams. There we go. That looks a little cleaner. Okay. Boom. So ignore the infinity stuff, but this window over here is the chat. So I can see all of your comments, and if I see one I want to bring up, I can just hit add to broadcast. You can ban people here too, and favorite comments, and then it pops up there. Wow, that's super distracting. Sorry guys, but it's wonderful, and that's Mac only, and it's Ecamm Live. So fantastic software. I should just put it in my description because I get a lot of questions about it, but good question, great software, and I think they support Facebook and all of that stuff. What else do we got? Simon says, that's cute. Hello, do you think the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K is a good camera for advanced beginner? Absolutely. It's a great little camera. Do you know if the A1 ProRes RAW is much better than the A7S RAW? Is going to just look different because they're different sensors. I don't think the RAW itself, the rawness of it, is going to be better or worse. It's kind of my take. So HLG for quick turnaround, yes. So if you're going to be, filming and immediately publishing and not grading it or editing it, then HLG is totally fine. Do you record into cam as well as live? Right now I'm not. Actually, I think Ecamm automatically does, and I actually need to turn that off, so thank you for the reminder. But this is a live stream. My videos I actually record. Do you have a recommendation for a teleprompter when using 14-inch laptops? Struggle to find one over 12. That is tricky to find larger teleprompters. I'd have to come back to that, or maybe send me an email, dslrvideoshooter.com/contact. There, I might be able to help you out there. There's one brand I can't think of right now that makes a bunch of different sizes. Okay, we're falling behind as usual. Started working on my first gig out of college as a camera operator. Any gear recommendations or just general tips to make my job easier? It's kind of a broad question, a good one. Camera operator. Have a solid kit that doesn't have too much equipment. I don't know what all you shoot, but for me, if I were to go back tomorrow, if I delete my channel and go back to filming, a solid camera that's not going to fail you on set, with plenty of power, a couple of good zooms and a prime or two, a backpack that's comfortable, or case or whatever, and then a big one for me is the monopods, man. Everyone's into gimbals and stuff, but a really good monopod for video, that is where it's at. All day long you can be filming, getting a little bit of camera movement and motion. Love those. Especially that old Manfrotto one that like everybody had. That was so good. Still have mine. It works great. It's like 11, 12 years old. If, from Zev, you could only shoot with one current camera on the market exclusively, what would it be and why? This is going to sound lame, but the A7S III. If the A7 IV were out right now and I knew exactly what that entailed, probably that camera. But this camera does just about everything I need it to, except for having a little more resolution. The sensor resolution, not the final record resolution. But yeah, that's kind of my deal. That or probably a C70. Man, sorry, but guys, it's getting a little dry. Maybe I'll sip on this here coffee. Yes, Justin, you could totally use a speed booster with the R5 and get a full frame look if you use EF lenses, not RF. Thoughts on the Sony ZV-E10? Nah, it's fine, but I'm just really over the 8-bit stuff from Sony. Hopefully that will get resolved here soon. Appreciate your content. I use a budget newer bicolor 660 light. Do you think the aperture 100D will make a big difference? I'm not familiar with that light, but if it's what I think it is, then yes, the 100D will be huge when it comes to output and color and all that. Just get a softbox and you'll be good to go. A7 IV with a Tamron 35 to 150 would be a workhorse. Yes, I think that's a phenomenal setup. Tamron's really getting it done over there. Is that a Laowa on your Sony? No, but you can figure out what's going on with this lens next week because it's going to be announced and I'll have a review up, so it should be fun. Been watching your lighting tips and looking for inexpensive solutions for my context. I'll start a new YouTube channel next month. Going to be a bit of a logger moving around. Okay, nice. Oh, I guess there's more. Maybe I should mount a light to the camera as I move. Bit unsure of what it'll look like, if it'll look good. I would avoid that unless you want to go for kind of like a fashion flash look. Usually that's just not going to look good. If you're in one room, just get a bright light, bounce it off the ceiling or a wall, and that'll be much better than having a light that's just constantly following you. It always looks a little odd, but hey, try it. And depending on what your channel is about, maybe you kind of want to go for some interesting effects like that. Okay, Lewis, I love asking this as we have so many options out there. What project management system do you use? I've used ClickUp, To-Do List, and many others, but I always find it difficult to keep track. Thanks, dude. Thank you, Lewis. That's a good question. I used to use spreadsheets. I know, I guess for me and my channel right now, Notion is what I'm using. There's one guy I can't think of who's like the Notion king on YouTube, and he has a ton of great tutorials, but I've made some pretty advanced spreadsheets. Actually, I might be able to show you guys exactly what I see on a day-to-day basis and keep track of all my videos. This would be a fun future live stream concept, actually. All right, making sure there's nothing sensitive. I don't think there is. I hope not, because here we go. All right, so this is my Notion. Let me kind of close this stuff up so you can more easily see what's going on. There's a couple of random pages I haven't deleted yet. So for me, YouTube, 2 pages on here. This is Notion. It's free. It's awesome. The first page is video ideas. I have 2 columns here, and you guys can just get a look at future ideas. This is just where I just brain dump stuff. So if I have an idea, like yesterday, I'm going out the back door to let the dogs out. I'm like, oh, hey, I had an idea. What was it? 2 ideas. 5 cheap things that can improve your videos. That's not the final title, but that's kind of the thing I would be thinking of, and I just want to quickly capture that before I take the dogs out and forget about it. Another one, the video cage, building like a cage in your room with like, that's got all your video stuff. So you can walk in there, it's got sound blankets, and you're set to go. You tear it all down, and boom, the room's back to a bedroom. A7S3 long-term, yada, yada, yada. So I haven't organized this today, but usually I have 2 lists here. Best ideas and then other ideas. So let's say I haven't done this yet today, but I'll go through and be like, you know what? That's kind of a dumb idea, or maybe I'll get to that someday. I'll move it to the other ideas category. So that's one way I use it. When it comes to actual project tracking, we're back on the YouTube page. I have the actual list here. So I've got a calendar here, and then all the videos we've made, they're all numbered. I keep everything numbered by year, and then the video number. So this one right here, Camera Hoarders YouTube Studio, just did that video this week. You guys can check that out if you haven't. That's 21, which is, it's 2021, the year, and that's the 19th video I've done this year. Way behind on this. And then I've got, some other notes here, a checklist. We keep our thumbnails and a link to the video, so if I don't want to look it up, I can just, bam, grab it right here. Then for my guides, let's see. Let's go to archived guides, and I'll show you my schedule that I've created. This beast is, and hopefully you guys can see this okay. Yeah, because I can't really zoom in on this setup. But what this is a list of pages, and then every process of making a video. Each of these is one video for my guide. So the A7S3 guide, just released it like last week. I've got, is the script done? Yes. A-roll done? Yes. Voiceover done? All the way through here, I've got all notes as we review videos. Some of these aren't marked as complete. I don't know why. So this is how I keep track of all my stuff and make sure, like, where in the world are we with one of the 30-some videos in that guide. Notion is great. You can create all of this and customize it. So check it out. It's free, not a sponsor, but really, really digging Notion. So hopefully that didn't bore you guys, and maybe we'll do a more advanced, maybe we'll build that from scratch on a future live stream. I don't know. And then all of this stuff that we talked about in depth will be in an upcoming guide that I'm working on the content creators guide, whatever I'm going to call it. I hate that word though, content creator. It feels weird. So, oh my goodness, Matt Gray, super chat, 1999. Super chat for when I watch this later tonight after editing. You are such a peach, man. Matt Gray has been here from day one, when I was still, drooling and a baby when it comes to videos. Love Matt. Thank you, sir. What else do we have here? What Zoom recorder do you recommend from I'm Out of Ideas? I don't know. There's so many now. Honestly, really any of them would be great. Maybe get one with an XLR input or 2 or 6. So I don't think you can go wrong there. Would you ever get a classic digital Bullocks D16? Yes, absolutely would love one, but they're unobtainium right now. Really hard to find them used because they don't make them anymore, but I would love to do a video on that someday. What do you think about the Edelkrone Pocket Rig 2? Haven't checked it out, so I'll have to do that. Have you ever recorded drum lines? What would you possibly recommend to record them? I don't think I have. Yeah. So I fortunately can't help you there. Do you think the LiDAR will have a big influence on photo and video technology moving forward? Yes. Over on the C47, which we're not going to do an episode this week or tonight after this stream, but next week, I forgot to mention this, we're going to actually unbox 3 items from Wish. So I bought a cheap camera, like for $20 or something, a cheap light for under $20, and a microphone. And we're going to unbox those next week over at the C47. After my stream, I'll give you guys a link and all that, and it should be fun because it's going to be interesting to see what actually ended up being shipped to us. But long story short, we did an episode talking about all of this, the future of filmmaking. I think things are going to take a crazy turn, and eventually we'll be using our phones and all kinds of trickery to make videos. I have the A7 III and a Tascam field recorder for run and gun video making. What's a good wireless audio solution to connect camera and recorder as a standalone wireless lav system? I've done a couple videos on wireless setups. I did a wireless bag build. What's a good wireless audio option? I mean, the Rode Wireless goes, but if you don't want to go that cheap, I know DD has a bunch of options. There's kind of a, and then Sennheiser if you want like a really solid non-RF system. Yeah, I would say look into that stuff. Check out DD Systems. They have a whole bunch of different accessories now. Rode Wireless Go to if you're on a budget. And then Sennheiser is still kind of the gold standard. Like whatever they are. What are they at? G4, G5 wireless system. Okay. Chris asks a question. Caleb, what's your experience with the Red Komodo? Global shutter and dynamic range is very appealing. Haven't used it yet, so I can't really help you out there. But I know Spencer, I can't remember his last name, on YouTube, just switched from the Pocket Cinema camera to a Red Komodo. So you can check that out. I'm sure he's got some great things to say. Hello from France. Good to see you. Scrolling down, Zizo, Godox SL200. Would you prefer a 90-degree radius over the 120? Not sure if I overspent. Price is fine, though. 120 radius. Are you talking about like the beam spread? For lights like that, I don't really care about the dishes that come with them. If you're talking about soft boxes, the biggest one you can fit in your space or whatever you're filming, the better. That's what I would say. May I ask what the next camera step down from the A7S III? I shoot GH5, but my friend wants a Sony. I would wait for sure for the A7S III. Or, I'm sorry, A7 IV. It's crazy, so many names and numbers, and see what happens. So give it a month or two and wait for that news. Hello, I am a film student doing a project for school. I need to create a mini doc style film. What are some tips from you? Watch a bunch of documentaries. There's so many good documentaries out. If you just Google, best documentaries, you're going to come across a ton of stuff. And the best way to get started with documentaries is just to watch a lot of them, because there's lots of great ones out there, lots of different styles. And I guarantee if you sit there with a notepad and don't get too sucked into the actual documentary, you're going to pick up a lot of good stuff. And if you guys have any documentary recommendations for a jumping off point for Jaden, let us know in the comments. What's your favorite documentary? Okay, I am very much behind. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I apologize if I missed your comment. You can ask again as I jump down. And James jumps in with a super chat for 49 pounds. Super chat donation for when I watch the replay. Would love to see a video on Final Cut editing and how your assistant helps with this. Nice. Thank you, James. I appreciate that for when you're watching this later. But yeah, that would be kind of interesting video or live stream. Maybe I'll start doing more topics here. What do you guys think? Topics, stick with a Q&A. I always like to keep it fresh. Do you need to hide something on that schedule NDA? I do not recall, Scott. That's what happens when you YOLO it. So there you go. All right, am I near the bottom of the chat? Whoops. Yeah, so that's why we don't do what I did. Scott says, Komodo is amazing, but not the perfect camera for every use. There you go. Oh, yep, Brandon Washington has some Red Komodo stuff. Check out his channel for sure. Overhead rig idea for heavier cinema camera like the Red or Alexa. So if you haven't already, you've got to subscribe. Everyone should subscribe to... What's his name? Is it Meet the Gaffer? It's Luke Servel. I can never say his name right. Servel? I think it's Meet the Gaffer. Yep, Meet the Gaffer on YouTube. This guy is a genius and incredibly talented. Tons of rigging stuff. And I don't even know. Let's see here. Let me try to find one video. Let's do this. Meet the Gaffer rigging. All right, there's another good one. He's got so many great videos. Let's just jump into it. So here's a video. He's talking about, how to bite onto, some T-steel I-beams. He has behind the scenes, little drawings and diagrams. He'll show you how to rig stuff up. And he has so many videos talking about this kind of thing, rigging up heavy stuff. And I just love it. So he's a working DP and just a fantastic, fantastic channel to follow. So I'm sure he's got a video on getting a camera up high like that. Have you used the BGH1? No, I have not, but a lot of people are asking, so might have to jump over there. Tempted to upgrade my Sony a7 III to the a7S III. Thoughts? Wait for the a7 IV. That might be your camera there, Oscar. You've got a GH6 hiding back there under the wraps by chance? I do not, but that would be nice. I see the original Pocket 4K as some sort of comeback amongst some creators. Maybe this idea for your next video, 8-year-old camera that can shoot RAW. Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Oh, you're talking about the OG, the little guy? I do have an older Blackmagic camera that will be being talked about on the channel here before too long, so that's exciting. Vox on YouTube. Yep, they've got a ton of mini docs. Good call there, 16:9. Nice channel name and logo. That looks very nice. Love the stream. What are your expectations for the GH6 and will you be reviewing it? Yes, definitely. I don't know if I'll be getting one ahead of time, so I might not be here on YouTube on launch day, but I would love to. Expectations. I don't know. It's been so long. I think at minimum, I think there's some already leaked specs, but 4K 120, got to do it. 10-bit across the board, got to do it. What they really need to do, and I don't think it'll happen, at least I'm not getting my hopes up, is better autofocus. Panasonic has got to move on and leave contrast-based aside. It's just, if they want to survive, that's what they got to do. There's just no two ways around it. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Otherwise, just, a rock-solid little camera that can do a lot of cool stuff. And even if it just gives us 4+K 120, for $1,500 or I don't know, $1,700, $1,800, whatever it normally goes for, that could be a great setup because there's still a little pocket for them there. What do you think about running a couple capture cards into nice PC with Stream Deck versus an actual switcher? Trying to decide if I just heard a smoke alarm in the distance or not. I would say, yeah, software can be done. I would avoid it though. I would much rather have an Atem mini switcher that I know I just push the button and it all works versus 4 devices that might get a little funky on me and software, because I've had so many cam links and stuff like that just not quite work out in the middle of a live stream. So want to be careful with that stuff. Can I buy a 60 Mark II, $300 less than the A7C in my country, and have 4 EF lenses? I want to go full frame. I can't really remember. 60 Mark II would be okay. Yeah. I would probably still prefer the A7C if I were in your shoes. But that's your call, man. It's going to be a larger camera, bulky. The 60. Yeah, I'd probably say A7S. A7C, sorry. So many letters. I've seen red dragons as low as 7 to 8K nowadays. Yeah, I've got an upcoming video about a red camera, the Scarlet X. I got it for $2,300, I think. So that'll be fun. The Social Dilemma, nice, great recommendation when it comes to documentary. Have I missed any here? All right, I'm scrolling down. We're getting behind. Okay. If you were a new freelance videographer, which industry type of work would you pursue? Probably like this new wave of, we're actually talking about it, and you guys are dropping great recommendations, documentaries, mini documentaries, documentary series. Really fascinated by all of that, and I think that's probably what I would be going for. Besides the cost, what's the benefit of the AT2020 over the 416 for your live stream setup? $100 for this. It's $1,000 for the 416, and it's just nice, and I can keep it close, kill the sound elsewhere, and I can have I can keep the other microphone set up all the time and use this in here. So that's kind of the deal there. All right, guys, we're scrolling down again. Another skipperoo because we're behind. What do we got here? Sharp and Focus super chat $4.49. He says, "Hi Caleb, love the channel. I've learned a lot. Spent a lot on gear since I've subscribed. Looking forward to the A7 IV now." Nice. Thank you so much, Sharp and Focused, for the donation and kind words. Really means a lot. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Hopefully, we'll learn even more soon. Let's see. Another super chat from Paul. 25 PLN. Not sure what that is. Love learning about new currencies. You always wax lyrical about sound blankets. Where do we get them in Europe without spending a fortune? Anyone know? Ooh, that's a good question. Anyone know? I get mine from vocalbooth.com, but I'm here in the States, obviously. So any Europeans out there with a good sound blanket recommendation so we can help Paul out here? If not Paul, I'll try to look something up for you. But that's a great question. Any tips for making an LMS? LMS, should I know what that means? I probably should, but I don't know what that means. Sorry. Someone can inform me. Do you think Canon will ever release a hybrid competitor to the A7S III? I don't know. That's a good question. I think Canon's just kind of doing what they want to do. They're obviously, making some great cameras. It's just not at that level. I doubt it. I have a hard time believing that, but I could be wrong. Okay, we got Bam Mega Studios. Hey Caleb, I'm a trucker. Can you do a video about in-car YouTube setup? I've been thinking about that for a while. That's a great question. And maybe we can get to that at some point. But yeah, lots of suction cups and stuff like that. And maybe some, tube lights. You could probably get some really nice stuff going on. That is a great question. Maybe we'll get to that at some point. alternative to the Kessler quick plate for stable rig base. Small rig makes a side latching version. I think it's around 150 bucks, 80 bucks. There's not a lot out there. I would love for some companies, if you're watching, to make something like the quick plate that doesn't cost 140 bucks or whatever it is. That would be amazing. Can you make a video explaining log footage, advantages and disadvantages? That's a great question, and I probably could and may. But yeah, long and short of it is dynamic range. Highlights my forehead here versus the black in the background. You're not looking at log right now. You're looking at Rec 709. If I record this right now, pull it in post, and if I say, you know what, I want to see what's going on over there in the shadows or by this, frame over here, or holy smokes, I'm really bright right here and I want to move stuff around, really hard to do. With log, it's crazy flat. So you can make adjustments, you can apply LUTs and do all kinds of stuff. So that's why I dig log. All right. Been rocking my A5100. Any suggestions on a similar camera with a mic jack? Ooh. Probably moving up to the A6 line is probably what I would recommend if you like the A5100. What's the lowest one? A6000? I can't remember, but that's probably what I would try to do. All right, we got Alex Miner up in here. What's going on, Alex? Okay, what do we... Best cheap lens for the A6400 for content creators now starting off. Any help? Cheers. Thank you, sir. And good question. Probably the kit lens if you're, on a budget. Otherwise, jump on eBay and look at some used stuff. Look at some reviews. If you're okay with manual focus, there's tons of lenses out there. But I use that 16 to 50, and it's not great, but it's a lens. And that could get you by. Set it to around 28 mil, 35 millimeter, and you're good to go. Otherwise, the Sigma 30 millimeter is really good. Find a used one of those. Beautiful. Late to the conversation, but Collective is an amazing documentary. Nice. Thank you for the recommendation. This is great. Do you recommend A7S III for live streaming? It could work fine, but I wouldn't maybe buy it for that exclusively, although it would look good. But you're not going to be using 4K 120. So again, folks, we got to wait for that A7 IV. See what happens. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is in the middle of a conversation there. What would be a good full-time salary for a video editor? It depends on skill level, experience, tools available. That's a tough call. So I would consult the internet. If you're looking for a starting, place, it's probably not going to be what you want, but you got to build that clientele up, get a bunch of work, and go from there. Scott says you can order 7-pound moving blankets on Amazon. Okay, for our Europe friends. Learning management system. Oh, so let's hit me with your question again, AM/PM. If you're talking about like course selling and stuff, I use Thinkific. Really, really amazing. Looking to buy an Atem Ninja 5. What are must-have accessories? A good HDMI cable, SSDs, and that's a good little device. You don't really need too much more. All right, I'm trying to roll down here, folks, and try to catch up. Would you recommend the Mickey T2.2 lens kit for the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K? If not, is there a budget-friendly lens set you would recommend? I think Alex is in the chat, and he may have experience with them. I think they're fine. Personally, I'd probably go more vintage and get something a little more interesting. But if you're looking for kind of a clean cinema lens, yes, those would be great. Booth Junkie up in here. Is this the booth junkie I'm thinking of? If it is, dude, I'm a big fan. Question, really enjoying the Q&A. My studio has low ceiling, 6 feet 7 inches. Any suggestion for getting that nice creamy soft light with a huge softbox isn't an option? Fantastic question. So I used to be in a studio space that was maybe a little higher than that, but not much. And you're going to have to sit low. So get a really comfortable, crazy low stool. I actually started with a shower stool, you know, when you need to like, when I eventually, you know, get older and break down and I need to sit on a stool in the shower because I don't want to slip, get one of those with a pillow on top. Something really low. And then your best friend is going to be those LED mats. So I've done a bunch of videos on LED mats on the channel. Falcon Eyes, other brands make them. You can get them big now. And you can put that on the ceiling or kind of start at the ceiling and start to roll down on one end. Boom. You got a nice big light source, and it doesn't take up 3 to 4 feet, 5 feet like a softbox does. So that's what I would recommend. Or bounce. Get yourself some foam. I don't have any here, but as an example, this board right here, just imagine this is that, like, you know, little balls that really are terrible that make up the giant foam board. Get a bunch of that. If you buy a flat panel TV, save the foam, put some black gaffer's tape around the edge so it doesn't break down, and then point a light at that. That's going to be fantastic. You put it right over here, you know, like that, shine a light into it. That's another great way to, even cheaper, to get a really nice setup. So that's what you want, something thin that is bright, bounce, or LED mats. So good question. And hat off to you, sir. Basements, it's brutal. Just got an A7S III, and the footage is taking forever to transcode, analyze, and Final Cut. When creating proxies, is there any tips to make the process go faster? Mix it up. Try shooting. Are you shooting SI or are you shooting S? Otherwise, you could shoot proxies in camera. If you check out my guide, I've got a whole section on that. But there's a setting where you can turn on proxies, and the camera will record them for you, so you can skip that process in Final Cut. Can you grow your hair? I cannot. It doesn't really work anymore. It does, you know, I can do a power donut, but I can't really do anything right here. All right. What do we got here? I'm going to scroll down to the bottom again. Oh, I feel, oh, we got Michael P in here. Good to see you, Michael. Been a long time, man. Chris, what's up? Thank you, AMPM, for the kind words about the LUTs. Glad you're enjoying them. Lover of tech. Oh, get out of here with your all-father talk. Good to see you, man. Okay, scrolling to the bottom again. Someday I will speed read this, guys, and we'll catch up. And we got the weekly bribe from Alex Miner. What a champion, this guy. Check out his channel. Great content. Talk about lighting. He's got some good stuff. And he's a lot of lenses, too. And Tom Beck. What up? And Baron. Another super chat. Best way to sell my multiple GH5s. Lenses, accessories. If I go after the A7 IV kit, Alex, I'll give you a great deal. So there you go, guys. If you need a hookup, you need some gear, GH5 setup, Baron's got you covered. There, I'll leave that up for a little bit so people can see what's on the market, if you will, while I look for another comment. Rivera, GH5 or S5. S5, I would recommend for photos and video. Wonderful camera. Ooh, that must be nice. Hour away from vocal booth to go. That would be dangerous for me. Oh, man. I'd be like, what surface can I cover with blankets? Danielle Silva, $5 donation. Do you know of a PD power delivery battery bank that powers the A7S III? I believe Sony recommends. Okay. I know of one. I can't think of it offhand. Shoot me an email, DSLRvideoshooter.com/contact, and I'll send you a link to the one that I've used that has worked. I believe I've tested it, but I bought it's not cheap, but it has so far worked for all these power delivery cameras. It's blue and it's big and it's around $70, I want to say. Long time watcher, first time chatter. Welcome, sir or lady. Just ordered a NAS. Okay, sweet. I'm going to be selling one soon if anyone wants a Thunderbolt NAS. Quick question. I'd really like to mount an Amaran and dome to my desk. Is there a product for that? Would really help with space limitations. Okay, so domes. You're talking like the aperture space. What do they call it? Space light. That thing. So what you could do is try to find something like that that doesn't have a post in the middle. So the aperture one, oh, does it? I'll have to look into that. But find a dome that has no rods right in the middle, right? And then what you could do is just put the light inside of it and hang the dome off of the light. And that should work. But that's a really cool setup, and I like that idea. Real who's who of YouTube video audio playlists in this chat. Who'd I miss? Yeah, there's a lot of great folk in here. And Booth Junkie. Oh. Yeah, Booth Junkie. 100%. I wasn't connecting your face to your channel, but the name Booth Junkie stood out, and watched a ton of your videos. Great. Everyone should check them out. Fantastic stuff. Do you ever get burned out doing videos? If so, how do you push through those barriers? All of the time. I think last week someone asked, last time I was, it was Cameron Flask last week. Someone asked, what are you most excited about tech-wise? And I really didn't have anything to say because kind of you get burned out, you get over it, and I don't want to sound like, oh, poor Caleb playing with all these things, these cameras and stuff. But hey, if you're making a video every single week and you've been doing it for 10, 11 years, you're kind of tired, right? So for me, the number one thing is if you have a spouse, a girlfriend, your significant other, whatever, you and them have to be on the same page when it comes to your schedule, and you need to not work for periods of time. Go on vacation. I have a hard and fast rule, 5 days a week, 9 to 5. That's it. No overtime, no weekends, none of that stuff, unless it's an emergency. And that's really helped because when I started, it was all the time, right? I'm like, oh, I'm getting into video. I'm starting a channel 24/7. I'm single, this whole thing. If you do that and you do that for an extended period of time, there's tons of guys, I hate to say it and I miss seeing them, but they just stopped. And they've, for years ago, channels that have been around for a long time. So if you're going to play the long game, you gotta stop at some point. And by stop, I mean, don't work 24/7. And what that'll do is you'll go home, you'll refresh, and you'll be excited to come back to work. So that's probably what I do is just keep going and try new things. Like I'm getting really excited for a new B-roll setup or new way of lighting that I'm experimenting with right now. Stuff like that keeps you going. Keep it fresh. Keep trying new stuff. And just stay the course. It's going to be up. It's going to be down. Don't emotionally attach yourself to your channel or your views. That's tough. Like right now I'm in a real rut when it comes to analytics and it sucks, but I'm not attaching my worth to how many people are watching each video. And that is critical. Or else I would be really miserable a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong. Still stinks. Hopefully that answers your question. Michael, super chat, $5. Suggestions for 1000 nit 15-inch display with built-in flip. Okay, all I see is teleprompter companies. It's not going to be cheap, but I'm going to say small HD or Atemus. I think they're 19 inches, not 15 inches. But yeah, there's kind of a lack there. There might be one from Feel World, but I'm not that well versed. So hopefully, I'm sorry I couldn't help you out more there. But I think small HD might be your best shot. It's your fault I spend so much money on setup. Thanks. I am sorry, and you're welcome at the same time. What do you use for storage editing off of? Just ordered a NAS. sick. Max Uria's video. Oh, funny you should say that. Totally agree. Max Uriev is awesome, and the video he did on, NASAs and things are great. I actually bought a same NASA that he had at one point. It's a 4-bay Thunderbolt. Didn't work out for me. So if you want one, or if anyone wants one, I'll be selling one. And it's a bit complex, my setup, but I've got kind of a setup for big collaborative projects like our guides, where we're doing 25 to 50 videos all at the same time, multiple editors, and then there's the YouTube stuff. So at some point I'll cover that. But I use something similar. I created my own server. I use a Mac Mini with 2 giant Thunderbolt arrays attached. Then we both can use 10 gigabit Ethernet to get into that setup, and it's been super smooth so far. It's been going for about 2 years now, I think. 24/7, been working great. All right. What do we got here? We're coming down to the final countdown. Sorry guys, I gotta skip down. Let's see. Okay, good. Oh, I wasn't that far behind. Nice. So I'll go back up. Love the channel. How do you deal with audio sync with the Atem Mini for live streaming? Do I know of a hardware solution? The Atem Mini with software, it's software, whatever that app is called, you can adjust the lag, or you can adjust lip sync. So you can actually delay your audio to match your video. So check that out with the included software. Recommendations for PP1 movie on the A6400. Since it's an 8-bit camera, check out my video where I talk about Sony's color issues. There I talk about what I would recommend. Recommendations for using Gamma Assist with S-Log2. You just turn it on, set it to auto, and it'll automatically say, hey, you're shooting an S-Log2, here's the proper Gamma Assist. Or you can manually set it to S-Log2. Oh wait, A7S2? Yeah, that's settings in there, right? I think. How much you selling your NAS for? I don't know. But if you shoot me an email, dslrvideoshooter.com/contact, I'll let you know. I haven't looked into, pricing and all that stuff. Zcam S6. I actually have similar thoughts to Gerald Undone. Just watch his video. I've just never been impressed with the footage. Log and raw doesn't seem that all amazing. Love the form factor though. Really dig that. I'm shooting an interview next week, but am so nervous. Is this to everyone? But I think you mean like, is everyone else usually nervous? Yeah, over time you'll get more comfortable. One thing I would recommend is do a mock shoot. I mean, you can test your stuff, but the night before every shoot, no matter what, back when I did this for a living, every night I would mentally, while standing in front of the pile of cases, I would mentally sit there and build the set in my head and build the camera out. Almost every time I did that, I would realize, oh my gosh, I forgot a whole power system for these lights, or I don't have any extension cords, or whatever. So that's a great thing. That really helps calm the nerves, right? If you don't have to think about the tech, then you're good. You can focus on doing your job on set and not, where's my whatever gear and things like that. And another tip is have like 3 setups in your head. This will come with time, right? The more you do this, this will become really easy. But always have 3 setups that you can just, without even thinking, build and do. So if you're filming interviews, have 3 different looks that you can easily achieve in any room without a problem. That way, you can still be creative when you get to set. But if something happens, you're running out of time, that with the gear you have in any room, you can just knock out an interview, and you've got kind of that safety, if you will. Those 2 things, prepping your gear mentally and having those setups in your head, you'll be okay. I get burned out to doing YouTube reviews of mattresses. Nice. I'm gonna check out you guys' channel. That's awesome. Do you prefer a prime lenses over Zoom for recording your videos? I use a Zoom right now. I don't like to go, faster than f2.8, so a Zoom kind of works out because you can, So, I mean, a prime, I would probably just buy a prime. But I like the zoom I have, and I do every once in a while change that focal length. So long story short, most people I'd probably recommend getting a prime once you find that focal length that you dig. For me, it's 35 millimeter on full frame. Okay, we've got a minute to spare. So, did I miss a super chat? Oh my goodness, I did. Low latency lav pack with monitoring for transmitter, something under $200. The Rode wireless goes at the receiver. Shoot me an email, man. I'm sorry, I'm not quite getting the question. So dslrvideoshooter.com/contact, and I will get you sorted. All right, boys and girls, we're gonna finish up here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We're gonna be back next week, same time, 5 p.m. Central. No, dadgummit, 5 p.m. Eastern for the live stream. Next week, we have try to cover it up, even though some of you already know what's happening now. We've got a cool lens we're going to be talking about that's brand new. So that'll be next Tuesday morning. For all of those of you who have been hanging out with me here, really appreciate it. And hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we'll see you in the next video or live stream.